Good morning, it's Cress here from Accenture again. We've received a few more questions about electric vehicles and in particular the costs of owning one. So what we're going to do this morning is just cover 4 areas just to give you a brief information download on what it costs to insure an electric vehicle, what are the services and maintenance costs of having an electric vehicle, what is the difference between petrol costs and charging costs when you're driving an electric vehicle, and lastly, is there any difference in financing an electric vehicle? So firstly, when it comes to insurance, actually I've found that the insurance is at least the same, if not lower, in certain instances when it comes to insuring an electric vehicle. And the reason is interesting is because there are fewer parts in an electric vehicle as opposed to a petrol car that are prone to failure. So the insurance actually reflects that, and it gives you, in some instances, depending on your profile, a lower cost per month for your insurance as well. The good news is that the actual OEMs, the manufacturers of the vehicles, normally give you an 8-year warranty when it comes to the battery. So you have a peace of mind that at least for 8 years, if there's any issue at all with that battery, the car manufacturer will take care of that for you as well. And given that the battery is the biggest cost component of the car, that's very, very helpful from a peace of mind perspective. So in my personal capacity, I can tell you that it's now 12% cheaper to insure my electric car than it was previously to my petrol car. So you can go and do the maths on what that might be for you. When it comes to services and maintenance, we're all very familiar what it's like with a petrol car. You once a year, you go into your dealership, you leave your car there, they do an oil change or an oil inspection, they'll check the gearbox, they might change your brake pads, they might do brake fluids, they might do filter changes, and all of that type of thing. And that normally costs money. You will normally either have a service plan with your vehicle, or if you're out of service plan, you're going to be paying out of pocket 3,000 to 4,000 Rand perhaps per service. However, when it comes to an electric vehicle, the servicing is very interesting because there are so few moving parts. You only normally need to take your electric vehicle in for a service once every 2 years because there's fewer parts to actually inspect. So when you do take an electric vehicle in for a service, what they typically do is run a battery diagnostic just to check the state of health of the battery and look at all the cells in the battery, make sure all the cells are behaving properly, and they just make sure that your software is up to date. So in an electric vehicle world, everything is driven by software. So you can expect to get software updates as frequently as you get software updates for your mobile phone. And with that comes a whole lot of new features and new performances sometimes, and some really cool upgrades along the way. So your electric vehicle life cycle is actually going to be improved, and your value will be enhanced by having software updates along the way. So that's really the servicing side. Let's have a look again at those fuel costs. I want to just create a comparison for you. On the one hand, if you are driving a petrol car and you're driving about 1,000 kilometers per month, and you do an average of 6.5 liters per 100 kilometers in terms of your efficiency, you could be expecting to do about 750 kilometers on a 50-liter tank. If you take that 50 liters and you multiply that out by 20 Rand per liter, your petrol bill is going to be around about 1,400 Rand per month. So effectively, your cost per kilometer for those 1,000 kilometers is going to be 1.40 Rand per kilometer. That's in a petrol world. Let's have a look at the electric vehicle equivalent. If you're doing 1,000 kilometers per month and you charge exclusively from home, in other words, you plug into a wall box in your garage perhaps, and you charge directly off Eskom, and the cost for charging gets added to your monthly electrical bill. Assuming that you're paying around 2.50 Rand per kilowatt hour, which is the normal rate at the moment for Eskom, and remember you need 17.5 kilowatt hours to drive 100 kilometers in an electric vehicle, your cost to charge that car will be 437 Rand versus the 1,400 Rand that you were paying in the petrol world. So your cost per kilometer in an electric vehicle is actually 44 cents per kilometer versus the 1.40 Rand that it costs in a petrol car. And that's just a base comparison at 1,000 kilometers of distance per month. So you can see that it's on average about 70% cheaper to fuel that electric car from home using Eskom than it would be to actually go to a petrol station and buy. If you were able to charge that car off solar and you were using the excess solar that you were producing at home, your net bill for your monthly cost of driving could come down to 0. So that is an amazing opportunity for us to think about manufacturing our own electric fuel at home without going to a fuel station. And then just lastly, on the financing side, if you approach Westbank to finance a car, you'll find that there's actually no difference in financing an ICE vehicle, a petrol car, versus financing an electric vehicle. Depending on your own your risk profile, credit profile, and all of that, you won't find anything different or obscure in terms of going through that financing process. So I hope that helped. It's really just a process of understanding, the costs for servicing, the cost for insurance, the cost for petrol, and in financing. Thanks very much.